All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're about ready to do this.
Damn it, every time I try to write after it takes me to it. Oh, you did it again, you little fuck. Super, let's forget it.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to WN420. I'm Lance Storm, and today we're going to be talking about Disjointed and how it got canceled and a few other little things, but we're not going to be doing it just by ourselves with me. That's kind of boring. In fact, we're going to have a super special guest. Medicinal Mike is going to stop by and hang out with us. He is he's normally on the Nug Life radio show, which is really dope. You should go check that out. And he's got a cool YouTube channel, which he calls an archive, but I call it really, really great content. So if you haven't checked him out, then you definitely should go check him out. He's a really great guy, and I think here in a moment we'll bring him on the show with us. I wanted to say what's up to all the replayers, all the folks who are going to come in and check out this video in the future. If this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button and the notification. Man, I can't talk. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell right after that. We'll let you know whenever we drop cool new videos and/or live streams, because well, that's what we do around here. You know, we try to keep it fresh and drop interesting new information. Infotainment, if you will. And what's up to my viewers in here right now? What's up, B-Tines? And what's up, my mechanic? How you doing, Sean? I hope you guys are having a really good evening. Guys, feel free to fill the comment section either during this video. We'll take time out to talk with you, and as well as after the video. I'll be happy to come in and talk with you guys after the video. Comments are really appreciated. And without further ado, let's bring Mike in. Let's see here. Where is Mike? Let me see if I can find him. I know he's under one of these buttons. Where is he? Man, I really need to hire somebody to run on the side with me, you know? There you are, Mike. Welcome to the show.
What's up, brother? How's it going, man?
Pretty good. Can I go check that out?
We're on YouTube Live.
YouTube Live is where we are right now, you know? This is,
It's the first time I've ever YouTube Lived.
Really?
I feel good about this. I feel good. I feel good.
This is good stuff here, man. Let me tell you. You know, it's even better if you don't forget to take a drink of water before you start your show. But
yeah, no. I've always got cotton mouth then.
Always. So, how have you been doing, man?
Good, brother. I just got a house out here in Anza, which is like grow country for people who live in LA and San Diego. It's our little Humboldt.
Nice.
Which is why, if you see in the background, it looks all empty and one picture hanging up somewhere. It's not a prison. So, what are you drinking?
Mango tea, mango Kool-Aid.
Okay, in a moonshine jar.
Yeah, it's that's how we do it out here in the sticks, man.
I didn't even know they made a mango Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's mango and something else, but it's pretty dominant on the mango. I love it, man. You got to check it out. It's either that or Surge. I drink a lot of tea. These are a few of my favorite things.
Nice.
So there's been a lot of stuff going on. I mean, you know, it's in the world of cannabis, we're trying to change people's perspectives and help de-stereotype this wonderful plant that helps so many and has been miseducated for so long. Well, not that the plant has been miseducated, but the general public has been miseducated on the plant.
Yeah, plants can't talk. You don't know what they're learning.
Right, not a clue. So there's with I had the pleasure, if you will, of getting to watch a little bit of the Disjointed series that was out, and that has recently been canceled. I think,
Starring Kathy Bates on Netflix.
yeah, that's the one. And I have to give the actors credit for doing a hell of a job. They they knocked their parts out of the park. I don't think it was them who wrote the script wrong though,
What
or
is that? Did someone just give us roses? Do I have to take clothes off now?
yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like strip poker around here. the
So basically, I do the Nug Life radio show, which I've kind of put off to the side a little bit and started working more investigative because there's nobody, and I'm working with the Candid Chronicle. If you don't know, it's a very popular newspaper out in Southern California dedicated to cannabis. It's like a real paper.
Nice.
And I did a story about, I watched the Disjointed show on Netflix, and I loved the acting. Let me tell you, I'm a huge Kathy Bates fan. Loved them all to death. But I sat there and watched season 1, episode 6, which is the episode on Jack Heron, which is a spoof of Jack Herer. And if you don't know who Jack Herer is, he's the godfather of hemp, and he also did a lot for psychedelic mushrooms. He was huge into that as well. But, he taught us about hemp, the history of hemp. He basically wrote our Bible, which is The Emperor Wears No Clothes. So make sure you check that out.
Right. The Emperor Wears No Clothes.
So I sat there and watched it, and it just looked very disrespectful for me, as, somebody who's mainstream in the community and working on educating people. I didn't like them, whether I don't care what his personal life is, nor do I care what, happened in Martin Luther King's bedroom or Abraham Lincoln's bedroom, or whatever. So I don't think it's appropriate to touch on that when you're dealing with a character that's higher up in our ideology system for cannabis.
Right.
So...
I think not only
we
that,
can get as famous as we want but we're not mainstream. I could do a million shows with Tommy Chong and whoever, Jack Herer, Steve D'Angelo are icons and legends in our community.
Yeah.
And when they are introduced into the mainstream as idiots, or money mongers or adulterers or, drug addicts or whatever they want to pull it out as, that's how it stays. And it stays like that for decades. And these people worked for, the past 80 years altogether against prohibition, risking their freedoms, so it's just really, it's douchey.
Right here, a picture of the real Jack Hare pulled up so that people can see who it is that we're talking about. The writer of the Emperor Wears No Clothes and all that. This is the real guy. He's a true legend, and he helped us get to where we are in 2018. We wouldn't be here without guys like him, or Steve D'Angelo.
Well, the problem with it is basically I spoke to Dina Browner when I was doing the reporting, the investigating, and Dr. Dina, who is I believe the one that they based the show Weeds off of, allegedly. That was partially her real life, overly exaggerated.
Right here holding the belt? Is that...
Yes, that's Dr. Dina. And when I spoke to Dr. Dina, whom I've met in multiple countries, I met her, we were in Jamaica, we got pictures and did all this crap. She was on my radio show. It's just a lot of interactions. I host a lot of shows. She's at a lot of events. And she told me that, one, she's not familiar with my work, and because I have issues, on the side, and I'll say I have issues with the intellectual properties and where they got the foundation for the Disjointed show.
How's she not familiar with your work? Whenever I see right here, it says today's guest. Dr. Dina on the Nug Life radio show, date 5/25/14.
Yeah, she was doing a whole bunch of fibbing, when she was speaking to me that I didn't appreciate. One is she told me that She has nothing to do. She said, I'm just the cannabis consultant for the Disjointed show. And now she is the cannabis she's the one out of the cannabis community, love her, hate her, doesn't matter, but she's the one working on that show, feeding them all this information. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the stuff, besides the fact that they are, shitting all over, our heroes, but it's just not their material. Specifically the Dabby and Daffy show. There's a very popular show out in Oregon. I can't remember the name, but the two have been doing it and I mean, it's the same thing. But they've been doing it for years successfully.
Right. And I felt like that looked pretty familiar. I couldn't, I haven't put me personally, I haven't put a name to it.
I'm too old for some of them shows. I don't, I'll see them once or twice and then I'll forget.
I can't remember who it was.
But the original show that they're based off of is very entertaining, very silly. And the problem when, you take stuff from artists who don't have the budget. That's funny.
Right.
Jeannie Herrer just messaged me, Jack Herrer's widow, to ask how I like Anza.
Nice. Nice.
She'll wait. She's a sweetheart. If you don't know, check out Jeannie Herrer and Dan Herrer, who's Jack's son, are working their butts off in the cannabis world. Dan is killing it.
Really?
And Jeannie is just the heart of gold out there. Jeannie, we've actually ordered one of those belts. She was one of the first belts we ever gave anybody was to Jeannie Herrer. Because she works for years now after Jack's passing, and she's out there volunteering, doing the little stuff that nobody wants to do in cannabis.
One of those belts right there?
And she doesn't drop Jack's name.
Really?
Which is cool. Like, she could be just going, hey, I'm Jack Herrer's wife, I'm Jack Herrer's... Nothing, not a word, just a sweet lady.
Man, that's cool. That is cool. I would love, man, I'd be honored to meet them. That'd be cool. All in due time, right? Now, who's this helping support that belt up on her? That's...
Say that one more time?
I said, who's that helping support the belt up on Dr. Dean?
Oh, that's my family. That's Peter Dante from all the Adam Sandler movies. We have the same manager, me and him.
Oh, man.
John Schneider. He's awesome.
Nice. Does he love pizza as much as his
works
character?
with us on the Chronic Kings of Comedy.
Nice. On the Chronic Kings of Comedy? That's nice. Yeah.
Little comedy tour. Godfather's in that too. From WWE Hall of Famer, WWF.
Right.
Watch wrestling.
I'm honestly, I'm not a big wrestling fan, but some of my viewers are. And some of my buddies actually are.
Everybody knows who the Godfather is.
Yeah. Even if you're not
Train. If you want to follow him on Instagram too, he's a big cannabis smoker.
420 Soul Train. Did you say?
Smoke Train.
420 Smoke Train.
Just kidding.
420 Smoke Train
Smoke Train
on Instagram, guys.
He's spoofing off the Soul Train.
Oh yeah.
So, but just to get back real quick, if you see these episodes and you watch a show like this, it would be like me making Disjointed, but imagine me making my own version, but I use Martin Luther King, but I call him Luther Martin King, and I make him a pedophile, because I think that's funny.
Right.
That's what Disjointed did with Jack Herrer, Steve D'Angelo. Yeah. In my opinion, Amy Fisher, that Dabby character, the girl, if that ain't Amy Fisher is a huge activist in the community, and she's silly as silly gets, but she's really awesome. I feel like all these ants of bugs are biting me. And Amy would go around these events, and I'm talking, these are, everybody, if you're mainstream, you know who Amy Fisher is. And it's not the Long Island Lolita, it's our Amy. She wore a potato sack that was green and would cut the boobs out of it. But look, just like the girl from the Disjointed show, or actually vice versa if they're jacking copyright. But Amy would go around with this fudge, and she never had anything to refrigerate it with. And she would just come up and finger it into your mouth. Like she would, try my fudge. And man, if I didn't know better, I'd say that's where their shit balls came from on the show. That's where they got the idea.
No, man, that's crazy. You said.
I mean, there's just too many coincidences. With what they're getting, and my personal opinion, it's my opinion and my opinion alone. I think Dr. Dina is out there jacking everybody's content and feeding it over to the writers, and that's what she's doing in the consulting.
What that
Because
that brings up something here, like this picture is this is one of yours from Nug Life from the Nug Life radio YouTube show.
It was radio, FM radio, syndicated.
Yeah,
no, that's MediWorld.
This is from the Weed Wheel of Fortune, right here.
Yes. And let me tell you where that started. The Weed Wheel of Fortune. That's a live stage act that I do at these events.
Okay.
And we filmed it, and made our own live cannabis game shows. And we did the 420 dating game, the Weed of Fortune, Weed Wheel of Fortune. We kept flip-flopping the name. And a whole bunch of other, I mean, God, I wish I could, it's so much fun. Stoner Spelling Bees.
Now, you've been doing that for some time now, right?
Yeah, I've been active since 2010. I've hosted more cannabis events, and I'm talking 5,000 to 100,000 people in like a year than anybody in the world. Wow. Probably more than anybody in the world still. Like, there's nobody getting around like me. My buddy's Sly Vegas, a photographer, and man, he's a legend in his industry, and he just helped me get to Prague, Jamaica, Amsterdam, Puerto Rico, Waikiki, Hawaii.
That dude loves taking your picture, don't he?
Dude, it's a trip. I mean, I just perform comedy and do I mix education with comedy when I'm hosting the events, and you're there laughing, but you're learning.
Right.
And you might leave with some gifts depending on what your state is and what laws are in effect.
Nice. Yeah, that's really cool. See,
and they jacked it.
Yeah.
Disjointed stole it.
Yeah, because I can see right here, I see this one that's disjointed. It says Weed of Fortune, and then I look at the one that you did, Weed Wheel of Fortune. Like it's of course yours is a straight parody of.
We sat at Netflix, right? Let's say 2 years ago. We sat at Netflix for about 3 months. Right. I worked with Hal Lewis and Cliff Lord over that period of time. And Hal Lewis did the movie Training Days. He's the playback guy, and he does the Training Day, Dumb and Dumber, all the Britney Spears videos, Michael Jackson. I mean, he's a legend in Hollywood. And Cliff Lord does the gang movies back on Showtime, and he just did Dubious Sources. And he's working with me on a reality show they want to do called Smoke and Mirrors that talks about all this crap I do. And they sat down with Netflix, and Netflix basically for months was like, would you be willing to add writers? Would you be willing to, switch the actors around for a series that we shot called Patience? And now we have this. You can see Patience on YouTube. It was in film festivals. It's not highly promoted because you don't promote it in film festivals. Right. And it was a good time. But we also made it into a comic book. We put it on our CBD drinks, and it's published twice a month in the Candid Chronicle comic section because it's cheaper to make comics. Well, we sat down there. They said, we love your cannabis show. We love the ideas. Same show, basically in a delivery service, but, a few changes. And they said, but we don't think Netflix is ready for cannabis comedies. And later on, down like 9 months later, they came out with Disjointed. And then there were a lot of, when we pitched Patience to them, it was an episodic cannabis comedy with a laugh track. We have the silly commercials. If you read, I have the comic book too. I don't know if you can find it, but we do, and this is true to the script because we just basically switched to comic and live action. But we do all the little commercials for fictional pot products and pot promo, all silly commercial stuff. 420 dating's in here. And they just jacked. I mean, it felt to me, I felt jacked. I felt like somebody went into my YouTube world, because I promote the Christmas episodes and stuff once a year. I try to push it out to friends and stuff, but it's not, like we're not pushing it like paper articles and stuff.
Right.
Because it's embarrassing too. We only made it with we had $1,000 budget, but we all worked hard as professional comics. We had Landon Riddle, if you know Team Landon out there. He beat cancer with Cannabis at from 2 to 8 years old.
Right.
And Ponyboy from Los Marijuanos was in it. We had it was like Veteran Comedian of the Year, Eric Knowles, from Dragon Ball Z, John Allen, and they all volunteered their time.
Right. Yeah,
and,
I mean that was like the Christmas special where the kid gets the tomahawk, the bongahawk, I guess. That was so cool, man.
He sunk that thing into we gave him, it was a tomahawk, but it was also a pipe. It was a giant pipe tomahawk.
Right. That was so cool.
And he took it and sunk it into my kitchen floor. You don't see that on the film. You see right where it cuts, but he was like, neat. And then he just took it with 2 hands and went, pow, and just the blade right into the kitchen floor.
Wow, man.
That kid is a hurricane. Like, he was so, if you see the pictures, if you just look up Sierra Landon and Sierra Riddle and Landon Riddle, Team Landon, and make sure you'll see how he just came from. They basically sent him home to die, and his mom, took over the treatments with cannabis, RSO oils and such, and that kid is A-OK. He's a firecracker now. Broke my Cthulhu toy too. Can't wait till he's older. I had a $300 Cthulhu collectible hero click, and they snapped the wings off it.
No, it didn't. Really? Were you able to?
He was in my house for 30 seconds. Ran right over to it. Said, "What's this?" Snap. I was like, "Oh, you little angel."
Man, like what do you do? Like I'll get some super glue. It's cool. It's cool, man.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I personally I'm talking with attorneys now. I'm sure there's other people too. So there's only so many details we can get into and stuff, short of just posting my scripts up there and pointing my finger.
Right.
But if everything goes well.
I was gonna bring up Steve D'Angelo. I've got this picture of him pulled up right here, and the person that they're trying to...
The owners of Harborside Collective, one of the most popular collectives, if not the most popular collective in Oakland.
Right. Yep. This and then I have the Angelo De Stevens, the guy who is totally not supposed to be representing him at all.
Right, with the same ponytails, same, the problem, and he was the sellout guy on the show. They made him like, just, hey, give up all your friends, come with us, we'll make money. He was supposed to represent corporate. And he is a corporate dude, but, he's a business, but he's a very respectable guy. And it's just sad what they're doing. I mean, they're done now. So I wrote the article. I wrote an article.
Was that character assassination? I mean, that's what.
It's Dina, in my opinion, because who else knows Steve D'Angelo on that level? And when I questioned her about it, she just had horrible things to say about him and just didn't care. And as far as it goes with, hey, you're offending this guy, I don't care, fuck him,
Right.
And then she lied. She lied a lot to me, and I step out bullshit. It's what I do. Yeah. And and we're doing the show now. It's 10:30 at night, so this is our 10:30 at night face. Right. But I sniff out bullshit, and when you tell me one thing, but you're also telling me the other, you tell me you don't know when I mentioned to her, and I told her I'm sour grapes. She asked, "What's your opinion?" And I said, honestly, I'm sour grapes is the term I used. I said that I feel like they took a lot of my intellectual properties, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not even familiar with your work. I don't work on the storylines for that show whatsoever. I do nothing except for when they say Shiva Kush or something, I make sure that they're saying it right." or help them design what the co-op should look like.
So is that
And
why?
I've already heard from a source that is, straight Hollywood, and she's full of crap. She's one of the producers on the show, and she's feeding them all the stuff. So why is she lying? Especially to in a private conversation,
Is that where this comes in from Annie? With the what the writer failed to mention is that he is sour grapes because he thinks Netflix stole his show idea. Funny that he never mentioned it once. Nobody watched this show anyways. Is she saying that nobody watched Disjointed? Because, well, that's bullshit. But
no, she's referring to patients. So what she's saying is she's saying Netflix stole his show. When it's like, hey, no, Dina, it's you. I'm actually accusing of jacking content, or having some. She's their heartbeat. She's their pulse to the community.
I see.
So I think she went around and did her homework and just took what she could. It's not just my stuff in there. There's a lot of people's stuff in there.
Right.
And it's like we can't do our stuff now because if we come out with, I come out with my patients. I'm on my fifth film of my fifth episode, I guess.
Right.
And they're shorts, but I enjoy doing it. And now it's like I'm biting off of that. It looks like.
I see. So.
But even the comic book, which we did last because it was too expensive to keep filming, came out 2 years before Disjointed did.
Yeah, that's so true. So,
and I only made this stupid thing just to piss off Jeff Peterson, the 420 comic, because he makes a super crappy comic, and we wanted to show him that we're better than him in every way.
Well, I think
but it saved our ass. Now I'm like, hey, look, here's the blueprint. Here's here's the script.
You did what you had to do at the moment. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, taking the weed wheel of fortune was the last straw. I was like, I did that with members of Slightly Stupid on the show, and they spin it, and live on stage. We did it in Spanish, flipped it over, and it was the Wheel of Mota.
The Wheel of Mota.
And I had Benji Reyes, who does not like Espanol. I had him doing it too.
Nice.
So I mean, we're not just doing this at backyard parties. I've performed with this in front of over 500,000 people.
Right.
It collectively, not at one time.
I have right here Steve D'Angelo on Twitter, and he says it's one thing to slander me at Disjointed. It's a whole nother thing to disrespect Jack Herr. Really, really low blow. He's not around to defend himself, and Janie deserves better.
Big thing. Yeah, that's Jeannie Herr. You don't disrespect somebody's memory. If they did that to Martin Luther King, they would be destroyed. They would be destroyed. But stoners are low-hanging fruit. We're an easy target, except for they think that. Except for we have degrees. We're educated, and we work our asses off. Otherwise, we all end up in jail. So I mean, we're working twice as hard as anybody else.
Right. Now this article that he references here, you mentioned briefly that you sat down and you were saying that you were about to write an article. You wrote an article. Is this that article right here?
Yeah, that's the article that he's sharing. We got so many hits. I mean, we peaked over 50,000 just off of my one page. And I didn't share it. The newspaper shares it, the Candid Chronicle. Right. You guys check them out. The Candid newspaper, I think they're called on Twitter.
I don't know why. It's probably because I live in the sticks that I hadn't heard of them. Or none of my friends were like, "Hey, dude, you got to check this out." But whenever you're out in the sticks and new to a community, some people are they think you naturally know everything.
I'm sure we can mail you some too. We'll get you on a subscription list.
Yeah,
I feel cool. like you're never gonna ever see me smoke a cigarette on camera, but it's 10:30 at night, so this being the late show.
It is the late show. I'm a black and mild I'm not endorsing Black and Mild. I'm just gonna.
Dude, this is the first time I've had tobacco behind the lens of any camera in the entire career of my history.
Oh man. Well, that's you know, it part of the thing here.
Kathy Bates is awesome. The acting is awesome. The actors are awesome. Mike Lowry, the writer, Chuck Lorre, the writer. He did 2.5 Men.
Right.
Big Bang Theory. He's a great writer. I freaking love the jokes. I enjoyed this show immensely as far as for what it was. I liked it, I was going to say one thing. I had to curb myself. But great show, funny. And yeah, it was funny when I wrote it. No. But it is a great show. It's just they take too many low blows. I feel like Dina was the bad apple on that.
Yeah.
And that's if she's the one, from what I've been told, and she is what I've been told. If she's the one feeding them the information on Jack Harrer, whom she says shared a room, and this is what I don't get. She tells me in one breath, and this is what she says on the record, that I have nothing to do with the storylines, and I don't even know what the show's going to be until the taping of. But then she tells me at the same time that Jack Harrer used to have an office at her shop in Los Angeles, and she knows him, and she knows that of his habits, let's say, and stuff like that. And I'm like, you're contradicting yourself. And it was the conversation with her was like that at every angle. And her opinion of what they did with Jack Harrer's image on that show, and was that they were honoring him. We honored him. The family loved it. They said that Dan wanted the family name in it, Harrer, to be in there. And Dan said, I'm glad they didn't use the actual name. I'm glad they didn't. Because he asked the day before. He didn't know what was going on. They called him the day before taping, said, come on down. We're going to honor your dad. And you might get to meet Kathy Bates and blah, blah, blah. And he got down there, and he was just his quote was they had an opportunity to do something wonderful, and they missed the mark by a mile.
Man, I would love to get his perspective on this. And he's a shark. Like, he's not a lot of the older activists, Eddie Lapp, Jack Harrer, Jeff Clark, they're hippies, so they're very easygoing, love, peace, water off a duck's back. And, Dan and myself, and I'm not sure how old you are, but this generation, we're not like that. We're confrontational. And Dan, you can't step in his way. That man is nothing but success. Like he finds that hill and he gets over it. He finds that hill, he gets over it. Nice. Sounds like a good guy to know.
He wasn't happy with the show whatsoever.
And he
knew nothing about it.
And it's he's got every right to be not happy with that show for that,
Yeah, if that was my dad and somebody did something like that, I would get violent. I would be violent. Like, at first I was told, when they said that the family loved it, I said, Dina, blessings to the family. I love Jeannie. I love Dan. And those are the only two I've met in the family, of course. I said, but it doesn't sit well with me. And I put on, the reason the conversation even came up in the story was I just wrote on Facebook, just my regular Michael Boris page. And I wrote, are we the cannabis community going to keep letting these people shit all over our heroes? #disjointed.
Right.
And I got like 250 comments in an hour. They were flying, and they were just slamming on the show, and they were tagging Dina in it. So Dina had called me, to have a conversation about it. Right. And I said, I'm not trying to spread hate. I just put up like, hey, this is my personal opinion. This doesn't sit right with me.
Right.
And, with the Chronicle, I usually write the horoscopes, the horoscope, which is like a cannabis horoscope. I have fun. We do comics with Benji Cooper. And every once in a while, I just did a Tommy Chong interview. I'll do the fun stuff. But I noticed that there's so much stuff going on in the community that's being hushed. There are big companies that are legal that are failing for pesticides and stuff, and people just keep it quiet because they throw a lot of money around.
Right.
So there's nobody on the inside of the cannabis community doing the investigative style reporting, speaking as a cannabis patient or as a cannabis recreational user or whatever flag you're flying these days.
Right. And me, that's part of what I want to get into. In
You're doing it. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. That's what I'm wanting to get into in a more active mode, but I'm just locationally out of it. So I'm doing the best that I can with what I have.
You're not locationally out of it. You just got to find the news. It doesn't matter where you're at. Something's always going on. Is cannabis legal where you live?
No.
Just legal? Can you go out and buy a pound of pot?
No.
Okay, well, something's going on there.
Right.
Something's wrong.
Right.
And you got to find out who's doing it, why they're doing it, and what the angles are. And you know, when you do investigative style, I'm sure I burned every bridge in the book. Right. I won't be going and getting my special on Netflix anytime soon. I can tell, and I probably won't be doing many pictures with Dina anymore. And I love Dina. Like, she was awesome. Until this crap. But I guess I saw her smoke and mirrors, and it was just, you know, who she pretends to be in front of you.
Right. Even with everything that you've said, you don't paint her as a bad person. You know, just kind of, it's one of them things that, you know, I
don't like being lied to. I don't like being lied to. And you know, if I'm calling you and I'm calling you on the record, don't bullshit me. Right. Don't bullshit me, because I'm not going to be nice, and I'm not fluffing it.
There was another YouTuber shortly after I created my show. He had his show. It was formatted. It was laid out the way that it was, and that's how it was, you know. And then after I created my show, he took a quick little break and came back and reformatted his show to be more like my show. And you know,
that's a compliment. Let me tell you,
it took me a little bit to
show
recognize that
syndicated onto FM radio. There were 3 shows. Yeah. And it was us, Kush, and High Times had one. Right. And we were the only ones that smoked on the air, and all we did was smoke out celebrities. Right?
Nice. Yeah.
And great show. I used to have comedians come in all the time. Doug Benson comes on my show. And, you know, I did a comedy show with him, and I get him on back. He's doing drops for the show, and I tell him about it, and it's like, that's great. And then all of a sudden, we're all blocked off of Twitter. Even my Kramer guys were blocked off of Twitter for Doug Benson.
Right.
And he comes out with Getting Doug with High, which is him getting high with comedians and play, and I'm like, you motherfucker. And worked out in the long run because I got my credits in one of his Netflix specials, so I am on Netflix on Chronicon. And I feel like with Doug, he was kind of working on it.
Hold me down. Oh no!
But you just, when it's art and it's your own thing, you get so attached to it. But it's flattery. I mean, somebody's admiring what you're doing, and they're going to try and step it up. We ended up going to educational, and then we became an FM radio show in 3 cities, which was unheard of back then. It was unheard of. You know, anybody doing any kind of cannabis talk, we were getting in trouble every single day.
Every day.
And we were in a professional radio station. It was Sammy Hagar was with us. He had his own show with Envisage Radio, Scorch Rock All Night. I had a show on the CW6 with Scorch, and I was doing a cannabis report there on the CW. First one to do that. So, and I could go around all day and be like, anybody who's podcasting anything about pot is copying me. But it's just evolution. You know, and you know, somebody copies you, and you're sitting there going, God, they're doing what I'm doing. Step your game up.
Right.
Do the next thing until they're copying that. And eventually, enough people are copying you that they're, you know, you have a fan base.
Yeah. That's something that I know.
Unless they're stealing your intellectual properties on your series and then putting it on Netflix, slamming it, then try and sue the shit out of them.
Yeah, dude. That's 100% what I would do. Now, do you feel that that falls under intellectual property theft, right?
The only thing I don't like is the fact that I was at Netflix for months and them telling me they just loved everything beforehand. Had I not been at Netflix, I'd say, okay, I invented Superman, they invented Batman, 2 guys in capes, you know, coincidental. Right. But then when I seen the Weed Wheel of Fortune on there, I'm like, okay, now you're raping my YouTubes. And you can see Nug Life TV. If you go on Nug Life TV, Nug Life Radio, I took it down right now because I'm fixing it up to be a little more professional. Right. But the Nug Life TV, if you look at that, I think all the Patience episodes are up there. I think Dr. Dean is on it somewhere.
I love that stuff, dude. Like I go in and I watch it.
Ours is different. We don't have the same characters. We don't have the same storylines. None of that. We just have the foundation. All the things that we sat there and went, we want to do this, because nobody's doing this or this.
Right.
Is all the things that got swept away.
Really? See,
my commercials. I can't believe they took the commercials.
You know, flattery goes so far.
Just be high. I could just be totally high, and so Chuck Lorre just happened to have the same freaking dream I did.
I'm not here to cast judgment on anybody, really. I think the whole thing is absolutely crazy. You know, what got me on being like kind of like I don't think I want to promote that show was just the mere fact that they were pushing extra stereotypes. I didn't like the way that they're making stoners look super stupid. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we all know stoners that are super stupid, but they were super stupid before they started smoking weed.
Right.
Weed is not what makes you stupid. You were dumb before you hit the joint.
Yes.
And now you're just stoned and stupid.
Now you're stoned and stupid. Wasn't there a great line from a movie called Fast Times at Ridgemont High? You gonna go through your life fat, drunk, and stupid is what he said, but stoned and stupid counts too.
You ever see the Chris Farley bit on Saturday Night Live when he sits with the guests and he goes, "You ever see that one movie where he said that one thing? That was cool." He just did that.
Always, man. You gotta
stereotypical, bro.
Yep. Now, see, I think it's perfectly cool to make fun of stoners. There's certain things like that all stoners are gonna do, in some fashion or another. You know, like even the $1 million on point stoner, who he's gonna have that moment where he goes and hits the fridge like King Kong, man. He's gonna come back with everything in it. You know, like.
Yeah, you just got
Oreos and jelly, bro.
Thing too, if you're mainstreamed in the community, you got to be responsible. You can't be out there, smoking out kids on the street and just looking a fool. You have to set an example. You have to do everything by the book. My weed, I keep it locked up in a box with a lock up high. And I don't smoke around anybody that ain't supposed to be smoked around. I keep my rec, my card regular, and I make sure to try to educate at least one person a day on, the benefits of cannabis. And if everybody does that, you get where we're headed to now.
Right. And that's, I like that. If you try to educate at least one person a day on it, and, man, I applaud you for doing such a good job on keeping everything on lock. I wish more people would do that. It's
well,
important.
The trick is to be a professional stand-up comic while you're doing the education, so I get away with a lot of stuff that would be, a lot of stuff. We took Scott Migdal from 420dating.org, right? Cool site. And we put a shock collar on him, and we'd have people call in and do cannabis trivia, and every time they got a wrong answer, we would shock Scott. Scott's 60 years old.
Oh, man. Oh, that poor guy.
People would get the right answer, and I wouldn't know. I didn't know the answer at the time. And I would shock Scott.
That's almost mean, man. It's just hilarious,
though. He thought we were going to just fake shock him. He was like, ugh. And I was like, I didn't even push the button yet. And lit him up like a Christmas tree. At the same time, we discussed multiple sclerosis and dealing with lupus. And, we keep serious and we balance the funny. We want to make sure you're laughing, but you're learning.
Right, definitely. Yeah, see, we were having a discussion the other day, me and my buddy Marvin, about the flu. It was a big discussion out here, and he was saying how he's taking CBD oil to help him stay away from the flu and keep his immune system boosted up and stuff like that. And I was like, that's really cool. It's really good. In a state that it's not legal, that you can't get your hands on THC, you can still get your hands on CBD in a lot of these states.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean it works better with THC,
right,
but you get what you take what you can get.
right,
The key is education again. I mean, if you have the education, there's no reason that it would be illegal. There's no reason people would be in jail for it. There's no reason that people would be dying, because they can't get a hold of it, or families being torn apart because they have to move, half the family to legal states and half have to stay over here.
right.
It's education. If you have education and you spread education, everything, that is right comes to fruition.
That's right, man. Mike, that's a really good point to close out on. I really appreciate you, and I don't want to tear you from your family any longer. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Worries. No worries. Thanks for having me, man.
It's always an honor and a pleasure to have
send
you.
Shout out to my honey bunny, Natalie, Ganja Glam. She's a 420 model.
Nice.
On Instagram, and Brooklyn, Odin, and Summer, my kids. Love them.
Right on.
Happy I
Man.
can remember all their names, too. You see that?
See? You've got it down, man.
And Bethy. And I got stepdaughter, Bethy.
You've
mentioned the stepkid.
you've got it down. It takes years of practice to get that right.
Yeah, years. Follow me at Medicinal Mike on Instagram. Check out the Candid Chronicle. You can read more stories of us ripping apart things that are just unfair or not being defended by the patient.
The Candid Chronicle, is that the weednews.co? Is that the...
No, that is Candid Chronicle. Go to candidchronicle.com. Weed News is the one who did the story on our story. So so I wrote the story. 3 days later, Netflix got canceled.
Right.
Because we went viral, and a lot of people were pissed. And all of a sudden, they'll say it's because it was a spec script and all this other crap that they're throwing into it. But and I don't know. Personally, this is all ego. But personally, it's really coincidental. I was being told about season 3 by Dina recently. Then the story comes out. She makes a comment, and all of a sudden they got canceled.
Yeah, I had been hearing talks about season 3 through the grapevine and stuff like that, and season 3 actually was starting to concern me. Because, I heard that season 3, they were going to be going after more of the social media realm and stuff like that. But I don't know. You know what I mean? I guess we'll never find out.
I'd love to see some recreational Rick or pharmaceutical Pete wearing my top hat,
Right? Out there on stage and shit.
And he's a pedophile.
Bum, bum, bum.
Good job, Chuck. Well, thanks for having me, man. I hope you guys have a great night. It's like 11 o'clock at night here.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate it. You coming out at such a late hour, but, it's prime time for a lot of, I don't know who the hell this is prime time for.
Wake them up.
They need to get up, I get out in the street with the pans and bang the pans and tell them to go watch the WN420.
Right.
I love it, man. We're gonna make this industry be known for the right reasons instead of the wrong reasons. People need to be recognized instead of downsized.
Respect your roots, man. Respect your roots.
This is
unintended.
This is this is an amazing industry, and everybody in it that I've met has been open arms and just beautiful people. It bothered me to see them putting so many, and it not just Steve and Jack, but as well as just some of the people, some of the customers, the patrons that would come into the business, the way they would portray a fair amount of them. I just felt it was so disrespectful.
I know a black security guard, and I swear to God they were copying him.
Dude.
No, I'm just like...
You know the same guy? No. Well, man, I really appreciate you. You're a legend in your own, whether you know it or not.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'll be more famous when some show writes that I'm smoking crack out here in California or something. Puts it on Hulu.
With smoke and mirrors. Yeah, it's not going to be on Netflix. I guess you're going to have to go talk to Amazon about that, man. They've got a good platform.
We'll be getting on Netflix anytime soon.
Just go straight to Roku, man.
Yeah, I think I'm already on there with the U.S. Weed Channel. Check them out too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, well, you have a good night. I'm starting to freeze out here. It's about 30 degrees.
Oh man.
Sleep well, and check out all my shit.
I will. If you send me a list of that, I'll put it in the description so all of our people can check it out.
A list of my shit?
Yeah. Send me a list of your shit, man, and I'll be happy to share it with these folks. It'll be on my WN420 YouTube channel. It'll also be on weednews@420.com, and they'll be able to check it out all over the place. I'll share it with everybody I got. So.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. You have a good night.
You too, Mike. Take care, brother. Hang loose.
Later, man.
Later. Let's see. Always good to let me see if I can end this thing. Where is it? Right there, right there. Okay, cool. It's always good to have your buddies stop by and talk about current events. And I'm about whooped. I'm gonna hit it. We had a very light comment section on this particular video, so if you guys hit us hard in the comment section after this video is posted, that'd be cool too. We appreciate it and look forward to hearing from you guys. I'll be talking with you there for sure. Sean and B-Tines and our mechanic and Victor Freeman, what's going on? Hey, from the Rockies, smoking that skunk. Right on, Victor. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about, well, no, it's not necessarily about all, but let me know what you guys think about this with Disjointed being discontinued, canceled, closed out, shut down. And you heard from Mike his take on the situation and his thoughts, and you can see flat out that some of the stuff that they were presenting was stuff that he had already presented and was using for a long time. Does he have a case? That's up to you to decide. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Lance Storm. This is WN420. Stay beautiful, stay positive, and I hope you have a wonderful day. See you later.